Hi, my name is Marian Carangelo. I am the Binghamton Council President for the Binghamton PTA. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to do our Meet the Candidates forum. It's going to be a little different this year than in the years past. There are going to be no questions. We're just going to talk to each candidate one-on-one. There are 7 candidates this year. Bear with me, I'm a little nervous. 6 of them are going to be here this evening. One couldn't make it. She had a prior commitment. So if you'd like to read up on Pam Kohler, you can check out the Be Today that came in. Most of you should have probably received it in your mailbox today. If not today, tomorrow, or you can check her out on the district website. There, like I said, there are going to be no questions. We are just going to go in. We're going to hear about them. And just them. There'll be a few seconds break between each one. The next one will come on and we'll talk to them. And then you will be able to hear from them, make your decision. There are 3 board seats that are available that we'll be voting on May 18th. We'll get started with our first candidate. I'd like to introduce Albert Penna, who's one of our 7 candidates this year. And welcome. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight.
Well, thank you, Ms. Carangelo. And I'd like to start by thanking the great PTA Council. You're the president and all the members of the council. The PTA is very important to our district and I've always valued it for many years. So again, and also thanks to Mr. Casson for his technical support with this video. I'm thrilled to be running for the school board this year in May. And just want to tell you tonight a little bit about myself and a little bit about my objectives and priorities as I run for school board. I think it's important. So to the city residents, to all students out there, to families, to alumni, Binghamton North, Binghamton Central, and the Patriots. I'm Albert Penna. I've always believed that our children are our nation's treasure and their future of America. Every one of the 5,000 children in our district is important. They have special talents, hopes, and dreams. I'm running for the school board to ensure that their aspirations, their goals, and their dreams are fulfilled. We must ensure that we provide them with the best education possible. We have a wonderful school district. It's one of the best districts in the state and the East, a long tradition of excellence and history of excellence. And we want to ensure that our students benefit from all the good teaching that they have and go out and be productive citizens. So I'm running on the school board to ensure that that happens for each and every child of our 5,000 plus children in the district. Tell you a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised in Central City. I'm proud of that. I'm a product of the 7th Ward of Binghamton. The video just clicked out a little bit. I currently live on the south side of Binghamton. I'm a lifelong resident of the city, and I'm a proud graduate of the district. I graduated in 1965 from Binghamton Central. I was a 2-sport athlete there. I played football and co-captained the football team, ran track. I was also named as a distinguished graduate in 2001. I was honored for that with that honor back then. And also attended Columbus School K-8, by the way, which is now on Hawley Street as our district office. I currently possess a Bachelor of Arts degree in zoology from Syracuse University. I have an earned doctorate in educational administration from Syracuse, and also a Master of Science degree in biology from Binghamton University. I've spent 50 plus years in education, all school level, both as a teacher and as an administrator. As my biographical sketch reports to you, I taught for 15 years, and the 35 years after that, I was a school administrator. I proudly served my alma mater. To be able to graduate from your high school and become the principal is quite a dream and a treat for me. So I served Binghamton High School for 20 years as their principal. It was an honor and a joy in my life. From 1992 to 2012, I was honored to serve with a very special group of teachers and faculty and staff and administrators, and I treasure those memories. Upon retirement in 2012 from Binghamton, I will become the interim principal of Vestal High School for 3 years, where I served as their principal. I've taught biology and chemistry for 15 years in 3 area districts. I also coach varsity football for some 20 years in various districts. I was an offensive coordinator in football. Football is an important part of my life. I played high school ball and try out at university level, but I love coaching and it's a chance to work with the boys. I volunteered for 3 years with Coach Ramil with the Binghamton Patriots and enjoyed that very much. I was also an adjunct professor at Binghamton University for 6 years in their Graduate School of Education. And I'm currently serve as a consultant for the Hancock School District for Dr. Doherty. For 12 years, I voluntarily served on the World Board of Governors of the International Baccalaureate, which, as you know, Binghamton High School, the treasured schools of the IB, Family World School of the International Baccalaureate. We became an IB school in 1995, working with a team of very gifted teachers at Binghamton High School. We brought the IB to our wonderful high school. From 2013 to 2015, I served as city youth director under Mayor David. And that was quite an honor. We formed a first ever government municipal partnership with the school district. It was called the Youth Success Initiative, and we provided after school enrichment opportunities for our children in a variety of areas, in music and science and math and in the arts. I did serve, among other things, I had time to serve with the U.S. Army Reserves. I was proud to be a soldier for 27 years in the U.S. Army Reserve Medical Corps. I was a medic, I'm a military instructor. I'm retired now, I'm a medical service corps officer. And my training is setting up Army hospitals is what I'm trained to do. We're activated. I volunteered to serve in Afghanistan, an operation Enduring Freedom after 9/11. I wasn't called up because I was principal of the high school then, but I did volunteer to serve my country in Afghanistan. I'm proud to say that I have 7 wonderful grandchildren, 3 of whom attend Binghamton schools currently. I have a grandson who's a 9th grader at Binghamton High School. I have a granddaughter at West Middle and another granddaughter at Thomas Jefferson. And my 3 children graduated from Binghamton High School, and I was honored to serve as their principal. That was kind of tricky, but they made it through with me being their dad, also their principal. 3 wonderful children and 7 grandchildren. Again, so I have a vested interest because I have 3 grandkids in the district and I want to see them do well. Tonight's an opportunity to talk about my platform and agenda and what we hope to do. There's quite a bit that needs to be done. And again, it's a great school district, but there are issues across the country now in education, as we all know. The country's been ravaged by this global pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm a science person, so I've an infection very closely in the last year and a half. A lot of stress for families, a lot of duress for the children in school, a lot of stress on teachers, administrators. They've had to adapt various instructional strategies and have done quite well with that. But nonetheless, it's been a burden and an upheaval for the entire nation, including our school district. So my number 1 objective on the board is to ensure that we have a successful post-school recovery plan. That's what I'm calling it. And I think the district has already drafted that. At the last board meeting that I looked at, Dr. Thompson and Larry Dake have put together a wonderful program, I think, for the children in September. We want to ensure that this plan addresses infection control measures for the district, keep the children safe. We're also addressing the instructional loss that they've suffered, and we're providing extra time for learning for the children, tutorials, maximize time on task with them, giving them every opportunity to be successful, providing our teachers what they need instructionally to make this work and to get back to a sense of normalcy. And also to ensure that we address the most important thing, the social emotional learning issues, the mental health issues that some of our children have suffered. They've been out of school. There's been a lot of upheaval in families across the entire country. So we have a well-trained cadre of counselors and social workers. Dr. Thompson is adding more counselors. I'm pleased to see that. More social workers coming in with the COVID relief money that the district is getting. There'll be some additional staff to meet the needs of our students as they come back in September. So again, number one priority on the board for me will be to ensure that things are go status in September, that we're ready to go, and the kids are safe, and the teachers have what they need to do their job. The second thing that I'm really very big on, and I want the community hears this, we've got to bring new families into our district. Our district is the gold standard in education. We have wonderful programs. We have wonderful teachers, wonderful administrators. There's an emigration now, a migration out of our city to the suburbs. We know this, and we have to curtail that. We have to amend that. And I think I have skill sets. I've worked for a long time with the district and how to maybe turn that around. Education in our southern tier, as we know, is a competitive market, and we have to market ourselves. We have to sell ourselves and bring in new families. One of my favorite expressions, which I'll share with you tonight, is when the airplane lands at Broome County Airport, we have to make sure that when that new family gets off the plane, they're going to say, "Take me to Binghamton, not to any other school district." It used to be that way, and we return to that status, and I think we can. And if I'm elected, I'm going to work very hard to see to it that we bring new families in and we keep our families here, that we sell our houses. There's wonderful properties for sale in the city. The third thing I think, not I think, that I know I'll always be mindful of, school safety. Nothing, please hear this to all residents and students, nothing is more important in schools than the safety and well-being of the children. We can have the very best of everything. If we don't have safe schools, we have no learning. There's no good learning happening. There's districts across America now that are in turmoil, a lot of city schools that have huge issues internally with school safety and violence. And fortunately, Binghamton is not one of them. So we have to ensure the safety of that there's order in the schools, that there's support and a caring environment that the kids feel comfortable in. And that's what I'll work hard to ensure. We also, of course, are using this term equity now, and equity means that we invest in every child, regardless of their race, color, creed, origin, religion, that every child we meet them where they are and we take them forward to where they want to be, to make sure that they graduate and are successful citizens and go out and make the world a better place. So to me, that's what equity is, and we're going to ensure that we invest in every child. Equity is tied to access. And for me, access is very big, that no one should ever tell a child that they can't do something, that they can't take a course, that they can't become this, that. We want to make sure that there's no barriers to the classroom door, and there never have been in Binghamton. We want every child to have access to athletic programs, to our extracurriculars, to have full representation in whatever we offer. That's very important to me. And when I was principal at the high school, I always tried to ensure that happened, that no one ever turned away. If a child wants to take IB or AP or an enrichment course, we work with them. We provide the extra time on task for them to prepare them successful in whatever they want to endeavor in. We also have to ensure that our programs remain strong. We have very solid curriculum, K through 12. I'm a high school person, but I know quite a bit about elementary and middle school, and we have some research-based programs. Again, we're one of the few schools in the Northeast that has international baccalaureate. We worked very hard to bring IB to the high school in 1995. It was hard work with our teachers. They had to be trained. They're carrying on. I think we have something like 36, 39 IB courses now. We have advanced placement courses, Project Lead the Way engineering. And yes, we have a wonderful school of fine arts, the Rod Serling School of Fine Arts, which is an amazing part of our school program. So we want the arts to flourish. We want music to flourish, the sciences, the maths. I'm kind of a liberal arts person. I believe that we want to prepare kids for a balanced curriculum, the sciences, the mathematics, the foreign languages. And by the way, we were the first school in the region, we're again working with a team of teachers. I use that word team a lot in my vocabulary because I'm a player. As a football player, I played on a team. I try to get everybody in the huddle at school and empower everyone. I think I'm pretty good at doing that. So people that know me well know that I'm a team player. Being on a school board is a team. And I think I can be a valuable team member to the Board of Education because I think I understand the inner workings of team and building a team and empowering others around you. And I've always tried to do that. So getting to that issue, we want to empower our faculty. We're really blessed to have a very talented, dedicated, and committed faculty. No school is perfect. We have anomalies now and then, but our teachers are committed. They could be teaching anywhere in the country. They choose at Binghamton because they want to be there. They love the district, and we need to value them. We need to invest in them. We need to support them in every way. Also, our administrators. We have a wide cadre of administrators who are working with the children. Our ancillary support staff, our counselors, our social workers, our intake people, our secretary, custodians. It's an entire team working together to make the school district what it is. We want to ensure now as we start in September that we're valuing them, that we invest in them, support them, and give them what they need, all the tools they need to be successful in the post-COVID recovery. I'll also do my best on the board to maintain open lines of communication. Communication is very important on the school board. We want to be good listeners. All the voices should be heard. All the voices in our community will be heard. I promise you that if I do get elected on the board, I will have an ear to everyone. Voices need to be heard and matter. Parents, alumni, and particularly the students. We don't want to leave their voices out because they are the experts in their own experiences. So I would often do focused discussion groups with students. So I'll try to ensure that continues. They're still doing that at Binghamton, gathering students together and asking them their perspectives, their opinions. It's part of the affect, students' attitudes and opinions and their feelings. We have to pay attention to the affect. And I hope I can do that as a board member. And lastly, in this list of priorities, there are 7 or 8 of them. The last one, I don't want to exhaust you in listening here, but is the fiscal side of this. As we go about our community, we live in a very highly state of New York. I think next to California is the highest tax state in the land. And as I talk to taxpayers, the district does its best to put out a budget that's prudent, that's fiscally responsible, that's sensitive to the needs of the community, and it's affordable. And they work hard at that. Not easy, but there are huge needs now as we come back to school, post-COVID recovery. There will be additional funding coming to the district. The board will see to it, working with the school board administrators, the district administrators, that the extra funding we're getting from the federal government, the federal aid from COVID, that will be spent wisely and prudently. And it has to go to help with the instructional component. And there'll be audit trails. So we want to ensure, again, on the board, that money that's coming is spent and that we invest it in our teachers, students to make success. So a vote for me next Tuesday is a vote for someone who knows the history and the tradition of the school in the past. I think I know the past pretty well, spending 28 years there. It's a new day now, it's 2021, there's new challenges, but I think I can bring that knowledge and history of the district to the table. I think I also can address the issue of today, the issues that we need to address right now, like in September and getting ready to get these kids back in school. And in me, you have someone I think that has for the future of what we want as we look in our crystal ball, what we want this district to look like in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years and be a vibrant district. So I pledge to roll up my sleeves. I want to do my very best for the kids, and I would appreciate your support. I do believe the best is yet to come. I believe there'll be a new resurgence of excellence in the school coming September. I really feel that. It's a lot of positive energy. So we want to get going and I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and dig in and do whatever it takes to make sure that these 5,000 students are as successful as they can possibly be. So I'll appreciate your support, your vote next Tuesday. Good luck to all the candidates. And again, thank you for listening, and go Patriots. Thank you.
We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, Ms. Colangelo.
Have a great night.
You do. Thank you now. Best of luck to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
So I'd like to introduce Mary Ann Callahan, who is running for the board. And she's going to give us her information and tell us why she wants to run for the board. We're excited to hear from her this evening.
Thank you. I've prepared a statement that contains everything that I want you to know about why I'm running for the board. So with your permission, I will read the statement. I'm running for a seat on the school board to give back to the school district that gave so much to me and my family. I'm running to help to safeguard quality education that prepares all our children for their future. And I'm running to make sure that providing quality education is done in the most cost-effective manner. Our taxpayers deserve nothing less. And I've lived in Binghamton all my life. In fact, I still live in the same house in the first ward that my parents bought in 1964. I was the valedictorian of my Binghamton High School class, and both my son and nephew attended Binghamton schools. My son is now in banking, and my nephew is studying for a PhD in psychology. I was summa cum laude from Binghamton University with a degree in history and English. I began a master's in political science at BU, but suspended my studies to work with refugees from all over the world when Binghamton was declared a refugee resettlement site. I helped war-ravaged populations from Iraq, Bosnia, and Africa, and dissidents from Russia to find new homes and productive work in our community, and to enroll their children in the same school district that my family had benefited from. In 2003, I went to Afghanistan for a 3-month post that turned into 9 years. And for 7 of those years, I oversaw a news reporting service that I designed, which was funded by USAID, the international assistance arm of the US government. In that position, I trained Afghan journalists as we created specialized programming that directly reported to the Afghan people about the efforts of the international community to rebuild their country after the fall of the Taliban. I also worked with the Ministry of Education there. I helped to install computers in Afghan girls' schools in Kabul and libraries in northern Afghanistan. In one school, we set up a photo shoot with elementary school children. We set up 2 tables in a V shape and found we had one more child than we could fit at those tables and still see their faces as they looked at the books that we had purchased for their new library. And I had to go all the way to Lahore in Pakistan to find those books. We placed the little girl standing in the space where the tables met. She was the center of the picture in that spot. And at the end of the shoot, all the kids ran outside, smiling and happy, but the little girl didn't move. And I realized that she had been so into the book she had been given that time and place and self-awareness had been suspended as she looked at that book. And it was at that moment that I realized as never before how precious education is. Since my return in 2012, I have re-engaged in the community here, helping to expand the First Ward Neighborhood Watch, and I'm also on the Federal Block Grants Community Development Advisory Committee, currently serving as the chair. And I most recently was asked by Mayor David to be on the Police Reform Commission. I also work as an online tutor with Pearson Smart Thinking as a creative writing specialist, assisting college students to become better writers. And when I'm elected to the school board, I promise you I will work to keep school taxes down as we maintain the highest quality education. I will support the continuing improvement of our aging buildings and facilities and give our students and staff safe places in which to learn and work. I will also support the technical upgrades that will give our students cutting edge capabilities to take into the workforce. I will focus on giving our staff the academic tools they will need to ensure that all our children graduate and all our children have the skills they need to succeed in their future endeavors. Together with my colleagues on the board, I will work for equity, transparency, and mutual understanding. And I promise I will be a good listener. Our district is fortunate to have the wonderful diversity that is representative of more than 40 countries. I understand our families speak more than 30 native languages, and every one of those students and families deserves equal resources, opportunities, and support. And as a board member, I pledge to serve all our children as they are all important and deserve the best we can give. We are very fortunate to have the public school system that we do. It is what keeps our country and its democracy strong, and it molds the future. I have very close friends who have come from Afghanistan who have a 9-month-old. And watching that angel sit for hours looking at the 10 little books of his first library, pointing his chubby little forefinger at the pictures and the words, I know that we must work hard to ensure that all our children have the best education we can possibly give them, because our kids deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time for this.
No, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to welcome Cecil Hopkins to our forum tonight. And Cecil's going to tell us a little bit about why he wants to run for school board.
All right. I'm Cecil Hopkins. I use she, her pronouns, just for clarification there. I am a trans woman. I live here in Binghamton. I'm 28 years old. I grew up abroad and moved later over here. And I would like to think that that gives me some more insights and perspective on things in general. I like to think especially on education, because that's always been a passion of mine. I want to run, I am running, because I want to make a difference in that. I think that the education system needs more input from the community, and I really want to be that bridge between the community. The best way to do that, in my opinion, would be to make sure that the board is as diverse as it can be, to like really reflect the community it stands for. So I think it's important to have more people of color, for instance, because there is a significant percentage of Binghamton students and community members are people of color. So that's one of the reasons I'm running, is to make sure that the community is heard and has a voice and a seat at the table when it comes to the decisions made school-wide, district-wide. It's also one of the it's one of the goals of the school district to embrace the diversity of the community, and the best way to do that is to also have that in the leadership of the district. So again, I'm trying to really just be a part of that. I'm also a fair bit younger than your typical candidate or board member at now, and that I'm hoping to bring some more fresh looks in from a whole different viewpoint. I went to school for my biology bachelor's and was going to go to teach science in high school, but things didn't work out that way. But I still wanted to be in the classroom. I did some substitute teaching for a while. I've always tutored. I've had workshop groups, always some kind of educating role. And this is, for me, an important way still to be involved in education, still be a part of it, and still be able to have an effect on kids' lives, because that's what this is in the end. It's having an influence on the kids, the way they're getting their education, if they're being heard, and giving them the skills and everything to be able to navigate through life. And I'd like to think that it would be good for the students also to see that there is somebody who looks like them, who could get to that point and that can actually have influence, to see a Black woman up there, to see a Black trans woman up there, and knowing, hey, look, I can actually get to that point. I can actually be heard if I wanted to, would be really important. It's something I wish I had when I was in school, knowing that that was something I could actually aspire to be with the certainty that I actually could. So I'm hoping to also be there for the students, hoping to be a voice for them. I want to make sure that they get heard. They're the ones that are getting the education. They're the ones that should have a voice also in what's happening to them and with them. I'm running because, yeah, I'm thinking it's time for something different, something new. I am fairly new to the area. In the past 2 years, I've gone to Binghamton University since 2016. I moved here to Binghamton in 2019. And I've been starting to connect more with community members. I own a pet grooming business called Max Grooming that I run from my home. And I've really gotten to know people more and more in this area. And I think it's important for them to see it with the community members, knowing that, hey, there are people who look like me who can be successful and will hear you out, and that connects in every single way possible. And hearing that and being more part of the community really made me want to step up. And education is something I am extremely passionate about. I always have been. Ever since high school, middle school, always that was my main goal, is to be a teacher. And that's also not, it's still in the plan somewhere. But yeah, education is something I've always been very passionate about. It's something I've been doing since high school, middle school age. I used to be a volunteer teaching LGBT plus and gender issues in other high schools. So I wasn't even out of school yet. I was like doing this peer-to-peer teaching thing across a pretty wide area of where I lived. And I kept this going up until college. I started tutoring in college. So this has always been a passion of mine. And I want to make sure that translates over to being a member on the school board, making sure that the community is heard, making sure that students are heard, making sure that the community sees that they are accurately reflected in their representational bodies. There's other ones in the city, but let's start with the school board, which is very important to everyone since it goes over. It's about their kids. It's about all of our kids. Even if you don't have kids like I do, I don't have any, but it's still important because they're the ones that are going to be the next ones leading. They're the next step after we're gone. So it's important to everyone to see, to make sure that these kids are being educated properly and brought up properly. And I really hope to have a hand in that. And I hope to be a positive influence for that.
Great. We thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
No problem.
And getting to know you. And we wish you the best of luck. And hopefully we will get to meet you in person.
Yeah, hopefully. I have a Facebook page, Cecil Hopkins for Binghamton School Board. You can always go over there. There's more info there. And even if you wanted to message me and talk to me through there, that's completely fine. Like, I'm totally open for communication.
Great. Thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. And our next candidate is Michael Pratt. And I'd like to introduce him to you. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oops. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, of course. As she said, my name is Mike Pratt. My wife and I, Adriana, live on the south side of Binghamton with our son, Diego, and his fiance, Gordon, our two daughters, Pilar and Lilia, and our son, Mateo. Our son graduated from Binghamton High School 2 years ago. I have a daughter currently at the high school, a daughter at West Middle School, and a son over at MacArthur. I've worked for the city of Binghamton for the past 17 years. I'm a proud Teamster and a member of the Binghamton Moose Lodge. I've also had the pleasure of being a member of the MacArthur PTA for nearly a decade. As a member of the PTA, I've brought amazing events to MacArthur, such as Career Day and Truck Day, Fire Safety Day and Recycling Day, and I've chaired multiple spring dances. And in 2019, I was honored by the MacArthur community by being given the Conrad Stearns Award. I coach football and softball for the City of Binghamton Youth Leagues. And currently I coach a 16U travel softball team in our community. As a member of the Binghamton Moose Lodge, I was their charity event organizer, where I chaired events benefiting Project Paw, the Impact Project, and various local veteran charities. My focus throughout the years has always been our community's youth and those in need. And that will be my focus if elected to the school board. I will put students and parents' needs first. I want to listen and help find solutions. I have never been a school board member before, so I can't promise to change any particular thing. What I will do is work with fellow board members, the administration, the teachers and staff to create an environment where students can learn, teachers can teach, administrators can lead, and taxpayers can trust. I feel our district has become a bit top heavy over the years. Well, last fall, we saw, unfortunately, a large number of our support staff were laid off just before the holidays. My goal is to understand these decisions and be a part of a better solution than lost jobs and cut programs. I want to find ways to introduce more successful programs for our students, teachers, and families. I want to focus on maintaining our excellence in music and in arts, and I want to discover a way that we can bring our sports programs back to the elite level of the past. I will not pretend to understand the struggles of others. I will say I am prepared to listen, to learn, and to build relationships with anyone willing to come together for positive change. I will not provide anyone with a laundry list of broken promises. I will work tirelessly to create an environment of equality, optimism, and excellence. The one promise I can make, I promise to be a voice. I promise to be the voice of students. I promise to be the voice of parents. I promise to be that voice for teachers and staff. And I promise to be the voice of the taxpayer. My promise to you is I promise to be the voice of anyone in the Patriots community. On May 18th, I would greatly appreciate your vote. So remember to vote for Mike Pratt for school board, and you have my word, I won't let you down. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great to hear from you. And we look forward to hearing more from you. And we really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us so that we could get to hear and learn a little bit about you tonight.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
You have a great night. Hi, I'd like to welcome Adrian Tateroff, and he is going to be one of our candidates that we're going to speak with this evening. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us this evening. And do you want to give us, sure. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to run for school board?
Absolutely, yeah. Good evening, everyone. I just want to start by thanking Mary Ann for inviting us here, and the whole PTA Council for hosting the candidates, especially myself and my friends Cecil and Ashley. I hope you get to see them. I really appreciate your guys' time and your hard work helping to drive community engagement and investment in our schools. And I just want to say that I regret that it wasn't until the pandemic brought about all the changes and work that I had time to be more involved. So I really look forward to getting a chance to meet all of you and start working on things regardless of how the election turns out on May 18th. I admit that it's been really humbling to be among a field of candidates with such impressive resumes and track records. When the campaign first started, which has only been about 2 weeks, there's a definite feeling of like, oh my goodness, what am I even like bringing to the table? You know, this is something that I always imagined, like these seats were for business owners and guys with degrees and all this stuff. But in talking with my neighbors around the city, I've realized that maybe we have enough people in positions of power who think they have all the answers. What I think is best for the future school board is not someone who speaks down to or at our community, if at all, but someone who's actually, whose experience and perspective tells them that it's time to listen, it's time to engage with our neighbors, and it's time to build a better, more inclusive future for the hardworking families, teachers, and students of our district. By way of introductions, my name is Adrian Todoroff. I am an 11-year East Side resident with a kindergartner and a 4th grader at Calvin Coolidge. I was born to young parents right here in Binghamton, and I began my schooling at Roosevelt. As a Roosevelt student and a resident of then Countrytown Apartments, I was ingrained at an early age with the importance of embracing diversity. As my cultural kaleidoscope of teachers, neighbors, classmates, and family were taught to me to not just be worthy of respect, not to just be worthy of a life free of the pain of social and economic disparities, but each one is a beautiful, invaluable expression of our shared humanity. I love Roosevelt. I'm really, really thankful for my time there. In 2nd grade, my parents separated, which unfortunately led to several years of instability in our home life. I lived a story that I now know is so common that it's actually almost a novelty that my wife and I are still married 10 years later and here as a couple in our school. We bounced from home to home, school to school when I was young. I did my best given the circumstances, and all things considered, I did pretty well. I was a good, although painfully awkward student. I was often picked on by my classmates for my bargain rack clothing and less than cool haircut, which was usually done at home or at the very least picked out by my mom. But she convinced me I was handsome, so she told me it was cool. Didn't always work out that way. We finally settled in Shenango Valley District. By this time, I was a 6th grader and already struggling with like depression and self-worth issues. It was wild. Trauma at home and drama at school left me never really feeling safe, never feeling settled, and feeling like the adults, both at home and at school, had just really given up on me. My familial relationships strained as I developed this like rebellious punk rock attitude, you know. And I'm not proud of all of who I was during the years, but I do value the perspective now that these experiences have given me. And I think this is where it's relevant to the school board, because I feel like it's given me a deep understanding of the importance of educating and empowering our students and of providing the safety and structure that they need for their academic, social, and emotional well-being. They need to know, you know, that there are adults really out here willing to work for them and willing to fight for them. Continuing down my history, at about 15, I had a little crush, and she'd warned me that the only way her parents would allow it would be if I went to church, which led to me becoming a Christian, which was a defining thing for me for many years. So as silly as like that initial motivation was, I was just like blown away at that point in my life to find a community that was like so loving and accepting when I was used to feeling so down. I almost immediately began volunteering regularly in youth and music ministry. And before long, I decided that I was going to pursue a career in ministry, motivated by the idea that like this message that they were teaching had implications not just for Sundays or in like this grand forever sense, but in a here and now, what can we all be doing to ease the suffering of people around us? Because that's what, you know, whatever higher power you would choose or choose not to believe in would want. So I served there, and I don't want to dwell too much on the issues of faith here because I actually stepped away from the church shortly after the 2016 election, and I don't think it's really too appropriate to like sit here and preach or whatever as a public official. That's not that doesn't have its place here, but it's just important for me to voice the core piece that I gleaned from my years in ministry, which is reinforced from my early years, and pressed into me really on what I feel is like a spiritual level, is that our diversity is beautiful and intentional. Our lives are inherently valuable, and our children and our future are worth fighting for. I developed a passion for the gritty, hard work of meeting people where they are and trying to help their current situation. I spent over 10 years in the ministry, planning events, outreach, food distribution, counseling teens, and really just doing everything I can to know that there are, again, grownups that are in their corner, no matter where they come from, no matter what they're going through, that they have value, even when the situations around them and the world around them might seem to try to tell them otherwise. I did end up holding class vice president junior year, so I was slightly involved in student politics and was presented with the New York Attorney General's CCC Award for courage, commitment, and character before graduation. I graduated in 2005. I was briefly enrolled in Davis College before dropping out to move into the workforce to help my mom with household expenses. And I remained in the workforce doing mostly retail management and restaurant work. Shout out to any Michelangelo's Pizza fans. Ever since, I ended up marrying my high school sweetheart back in 2010. And that's when we moved on to the East Side to start our family. So that's me. You know me a little bit. I'm running for school board because, like a lot of families around our district, my wife and I have felt a great deal of frustration and disappointment at how unrealistic it has seemed to get involved in things like the PTA and school board functions, just given the amount of hours that we've needed to work on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, I'm sorry. The unfortunate truth for too many people is that no matter how much you love your kid, if you're an essential worker or a single mom or something like this, you're going to have to choose eventually between working to make ends meet and getting involved. I've seen mothers, my wife included, my mom included, brought to tears by the doubt of whether or not they're good enough parents because they had to make that choice. And that's just not right. I think that we can all agree that increasing community engagement is a major goal. I see the PTA out here. So it'll be my main focus to push transparency and accountability for the school board while making sure all of our goings on are more accessible to working families. And I want to make sure that all of our perspectives are considered and all of our voices are heard. And it just shouldn't be a pain to stay up to date. Speaking of pains, I'd like to briefly address the teachers. I figured there'd be more of us here, but the teacher in the meeting, and any of them might be watching this later, in no uncertain terms, I got your back. Throughout the course of the global pandemic, you've been put through the ringer. You've been stuck on the front lines of a fight for our future, while the entire society has tried to figure out what side was up and what was going on and what's the plan. And you guys have persevered, you've adapted, and you've made it work. As a full remote parent throughout this whole thing, I applaud y'all for making this whole experience anywhere near sane. And it's heartbreaking, really, the amount that's asked of you, the amount of abuse and disrespect you face in this profession. And this whole time as you were just trying to do your best for our kids. As a school board member, I'll fight for our hardworking, loving teachers, and not just using like Teacher Appreciation Week for points with nice posts on social media, but as a partner who's pushing for you. Pushing for you to be empowered in your relationship with our students, and who's going to fight for you and fight for what you need to do your jobs as you invest in the future of our community. I'll also use the position to the best of my ability to foster a spirit of practice and of mutual aid around our school community. I want to try to just bring us together to build bridges, fill gaps, and hopefully relieve the stress that I know a lot of teachers feel of having to constantly go above, beyond, and go out of their pockets for their beloved students. I just think that if we all work together, we can find a better way that doesn't necessarily result in upping taxes or leaving our teachers in tough situations. Like so many of my friends and neighbors, the increased tension and hostility of the last 4 years and the explosion of violence and unrest of the summer has left me deeply concerned about the future of our community and our country. I've been desperately looking for a chance to get involved, trying to find some way to help. This will be my first time seeking public office, and I'm just trying to do my part to help us move forward with compassion, with understanding, and to keep our children's best interest at heart. It would truly be an honor to even be considered for this role of service to our future. In closing, thank you so much for your time. I feel like that I might have rambled or whatever, but I really look forward to getting to know you and to contribute to building our school's future as a premier public school district. Please vote lines 4, 5, and 6 on May 18th.
Appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. And I know it was short notice, and you know, with this pandemic, we hope that we can meet you in person. And really appreciate you taking the time for this.
Soon, we'll meet soon. We're vaccinated
Great.
now.
Great. True. Thank you so much. Our next candidate is Ashley Montalvo. I'd like to welcome you to the forum this evening. It's nice to
Hi.
have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
So I would just like to get started by introducing myself. Like you said, my name is Ashley Montalvo. I grew up in the Binghamton City School District, so I attended Woodrow Wilson Elementary, West Middle School, and Binghamton High School. And I now have 2 children who are in the district. And amazingly enough, my 9-year-old daughter has had some of my same teachers. She had my same kindergarten teacher. You know, up until 3rd grade, she's had a teacher that has had me. So that's been a really great experience. And, you know, growing up in this district and in this community, I feel like I am able to provide a different perspective to the board. You know, I believe that I grew up here in a low socioeconomic status. I am a person of color. I have, you know, different experiences that I feel like I can relate to the community that we serve. And so, you know, also I'm, you know, first generation that went to college in my family. There's a lot of things that my parents didn't know growing up that I learned from school. So I really valued my education. I remember when I had children, I was living out in Virginia because I went to college out there. And I remember saying, I wish my kids could go to all the same schools that I went to. And so I just really valued my experience in Binghamton City School District. And I would love to be a part of supporting, you know, the learning process and the decisions that are made to help our families and our schools. And you know, I was blessed with very loving teachers, and I know that there are a lot of different issues that have come up recently due to, you know, social issues or just all of these things that have been going on because of the pandemic and things like that. And I think that my experience it can be beneficial to just to give that perspective, you know. And I know that one of the visions of the district is to embrace diversity in all its forms. And so, you know, I am a big proponent of doing just that, you know, and providing my insight from the things that I have gone through in my life to help our students, our staff, and just the district as a whole. And so just a little bit about my experience. After I went to school for psychology in Bridgewater, Virginia, and then immediately after that, I moved out to Virginia, and I was working as a behavioral therapist for a private day school for children with developmental disabilities. So I have that background in behavioral support, which I think is extremely important, not just for children with developmental disabilities, but of all abilities. And then I worked here at Family Enrichment Network when I moved back to Binghamton in 2017. I was a teacher in that organization. And then I also worked as a family advocate. So I was in the classroom, although it's not deemed within the district. Many of the kids that go there eventually come to Binghamton City School District. And then I worked as a family advocate. So I was working between the classrooms and the families, providing resources, kind of being that go between person, communicating the needs of the families, the needs of the teachers, and just doing the best to um, work together with the family and the schools to make sure that our students had the best experience. And then I was eventually a center director for um, Family Enrichment Network at the Fayette Street location downtown. So that gave me, a different view of just, a different side of town, right? A different population of people. And also, I was working in administration at that point. So, learning a lot of different things about school budgets and making decisions about curriculum and things like that. So, I have experience there. And then currently, I am getting my master's degree in mental health counseling, and I am currently in internship. I graduate this upcoming month, and my internship is with the Children's Home of Wyoming Conference. So again, there's a whole different population working with children in foster care, which these children are in our schools, and I think it's very important to understand their needs as well. So I think that I have a pretty well-rounded view of our community, because not only have I experienced a lot of these different things, but I've done them here in Binghamton. I grew up here in Binghamton. So I feel like I know the community really well. And I'm also just a big advocate of giving a voice to marginalized populations. And, I look forward to learning more and hearing from families and hearing from the schools, and working together to meet those needs as best we can. Um, and then the other thing that I've most recently done is I started a virtual classroom when the pandemic started. So when schools shut down, there wasn't really a uh, clear plan about what was going to happen with continuing education. Obviously, there was going to be a plan, but it took a while to get set into motion. And I just knew, I'm familiar with the Zoom platform. I can provide some type of academic time, because my first concern was, you know, um, how are these children's social emotional needs going to be met right now in this time of such abrupt displacement? They don't, a lot of them were, if not all of them, extremely confused by what happened. And maybe they're not in a home where um, their parents or guardians are explaining it to them, or didn't know what to tell them. We don't know what was happening next. So I wanted to provide this virtual space for people to just come and see other faces, other kids going through the same thing. And I told the parents, yes, I'm going to provide some academic time, some simple review based on their grade level and things like that. But the most important thing is that they just feel like they belong somewhere, even if it's in this virtual space. Um, and then another concern of mine during that time was what's happening with the children who have severe problem behaviors. And maybe their parents really relied on school to help manage those and teach their children certain skills to deal with those. Now, what are they doing at home? So I also offered kind of just my expertise in that area. I can't go to every home, especially in a pandemic, but if you reach out, I'll give you tips, but just really catering to those social emotional needs, not just of the children, but of the parents. A big part of my program was showing the parents that they can do this, that they can survive this pandemic, they can survive keeping their children at home for long periods of time, or teaching them, being that first teacher to them was really important. So I was able to do that. And even though things have changed and the schools have really worked hard on implementing learning through this new way, whether it be hybrid learning or whether it's like, they're in school full time or online full time, whatever it is that they did, still things are ever changing. And I would love to be a part of, that continual growth of having a trauma informed lens when it comes to dealing with our families and children, like understanding that this is something completely different that they've never experienced before. Moving forward, now we need to look at what has just happened in our world. And we should have been doing that for a long time, right? But I feel like this is something that has really devastated just our nation. And so it's really important to move forward in a way that keeps that in mind. And I just think that, it's our responsibility to uphold values that promote dignity to our schools and respect to our families. And I would really like to, just work alongside other board members to meet the needs of our community. That's me.
It's great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time and the energy it takes to run, and the commitment.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for taking this short time to talk with us, because I know the short, not the time, but the short time that I gave you to put this together. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And good luck, and we'll see you at the polls on the 18th.
Okay. See you then.
Thanks. Take care.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.